the FA Cup final this weekend. I've been trying to find a way to justify a bet to back the upstart Crystal Palace heading into this one as they take on the Evil Empire and Manchester City. In a down year for City, they're still in a cup final. And by the way, they've been linked to Florian Wirtz in the market. Renders of AC Milan, it's just the rich are just going to get richer. So I would really like to find a way to back Crystal Palace here. Palace come into this game having not lost in 5 in all competitions. Manchester City haven't lost in their last 10 in all competitions, and they haven't had a goal conceded in their last 3 games as well. Their schedule has been fairly straightforward over the last month and a half for Man City, but still they've really got things back on track. There was a time where you were thinking that maybe a Champions League spot wouldn't be secure, but that's about done and dusted. And of course, top 5 in the Premier League this season qualify for the Champions League. All right, so what do you make of this final? If you're looking for some value, a play to make for Wembley this weekend, where are you looking, Jake?
It's always tough. I'm always drawn to the unders straight away because Wembley generally is an unders ground, an unders pitch, and obviously the occasion lends itself to being quite tense. The goal line set at 2.75. It's minus 111. I won't put anybody off backing that. How people might look at the fact that these two have played each other twice this season already in the league, 4 goals and 7 goals in the 2 meetings. So, I mean, if we get a final like that, I think everybody will be happy. Quite a lot of entertainment, but we know that everything gets a little bit tighter, fewer risks taken when it comes to a major final. So I will be leaning towards the under. In the outright, I'm with you. I think Palace are a little bit underestimated. The handicap, they're getting a 3/4 of a goal head start, which obviously means you only lose money if they, or only lose all your stake if they lose by 2 or more goals, which I think is unlikely. But I can't remember when it was. I think it was when they played Fulham in the quarters. I suggested backing them at plus 1,200 or something along those lines. So I've got a very strong position on Palace already. So I don't really want to dip my toe back into the Palace well. So yeah, ultimately it's just going to be a no bet for me. But if I was to have one sneaky bet, it would be to back Manchester City under 1.5 on the team total at plus 108. Because I am just slightly concerned that the good run of form pre-Southampton was down to not having Erling Haaland in the team. And that may sound counterintuitive because he's the best striker in the league. But for the style of play Pep wants to get his team to play, which is very, very controlled, very fluid, a lot of movement in terms of positioning. I think Haaland kind of puts a halt to all that. And I know they were good against Southampton. They created enough chances to win the game, but I think against a better opponent, it might be a little bit of a problem for them. So, yeah, just a few thoughts there. I definitely think Palace they're going to have a good go at this. And, you know, at the end of the day, Oliver Glasner's a coach he's won trophies before. He knows what it takes to get over the line. And I guess we're going to get onto this in the Premier League section, but the repercussions of this final could be quite important for the remaining games on Sunday as well.
Yeah. For whatever reason, I don't want to back the under in this game. And it's not like a public play. I've seen these two sides play enough over the last few years to understand that every game, it seems like Palace, like you said, gives it a go and scores goals. They've scored 2 against City in their last 4 meetings and in 5 of 6. So for whatever reason, Palace is a real threat from an attacking perspective against this Man City side. As I mentioned, an easy schedule for City. I'm not sure what to make of that coming home. They beat Bournemouth in the FA Cup. That was a good win. They beat Crystal Palace 5-2 in that game that they played last in April, where Palace actually went up 2-0 and then completely capitulated, ended up losing 5-2 in that game. And obviously the last-minute winner against Aston Villa. Other than that, there hasn't been much there. I look at some of the data just when it comes to head-to-head. City haven't lost to Palace in 7. No clean sheets in 4, however. Palace hasn't had a clean sheet in 7. They've actually played to over in 5 of the last 6 games, and both teams to score in 5 of 6 as well. In that 5-2 win on April 12th, the XG in that game was ridiculous. Like, City was 4.6 and Palace was 1.34. And like I said, Palace was up 2-0 after 2-0 after 20 minutes. I have a strong lean to backing Palace on the handicap. And if you're going to go that far, you could back them on a double chance at plus 112 on Pinnacle to either win or draw. If the ultimate punt in this game is a scoring win for Palace, where both teams to score and Palace to win is plus 701. If you think that this City team is vulnerable, that's where it might be worth taking a big swing, because other than that, Jake, I just don't find there to be a whole lot of value in just any of the markets. Even if you want to back City straight up, I just don't think that there's enough value in making that inherent risk. So this is everything for City. I'm hoping they can spring an upset. It wouldn't quite be Wigan over Man City from yesterday, a 1-0 result that day. But I think this would be a little bit of in most people's eyes, a considerable upset, but not based upon the data, not the way that things have been playing out as of late. I think Palace are right in this and full value to try to back Palace on some sort of play here. So perhaps it's worth on Palace, both teams to score and Palace win at plus 701. That's a big old number there. So
yeah, I like the sound of that. And I guess it's kind of strange we're coming into a cup final, and I've got more question marks around City than Palace. We've seen they've got some players coming back to full fitness, but is that going to upset the apple cart? Because they've gained such a steady momentum. For example, Guardiola playing in central defence alongside Diaz. Akanji's back fit, Guardiola's back at left back, but those two look really good at centre half. Like, why would you O'Reilly was looking good at left back. Why would you completely flip that around? Foden's back in the team last week. Probably won't start this week, but stuff like that. I just find it really strange. Like, does it go with Matheus Nunes or Rico Lewis? Because Nunes was playing really well at right back, and then Lewis played there last week. So I don't know if he's just playing games and trying to get, trying to just almost get players some minutes as we head down the home straight or what. I'm not too sure, but even like Bernardo Silva playing in midfield rather than on the right hand side. Like, if that does happen, I would quite fancy Palace's chances of overrunning that midfield if you've got Bernardo in there alongside Kovacic, for example. So, there's a lot more question marks for me around City. And if they line up in certain ways, I think that could be really favourable for Palace. And obviously, I've already mentioned Haaland.
City are playing in the Champions League next season anyways.
We don't know that for sure. Yeah, we don't know that for sure yet. Because if they beat Southampton, then I think we could say, yeah, it's curtains, they're in. But they've got Bournemouth the following Tuesday, two days after this FA Cup final, and if they lose that, and Villa pick up a win as we expect them to, and Chelsea pick up a win as we expect them to, then all of a sudden it is serious.
Yeah, maybe. But 5 spots, you can see City falling out of the top 5 here. Newcastle's at Arsenal this weekend.
I'm not sure about that. I could see a world where it happens, because Newcastle, Arsenal, they every chance they just draw that game, shake hands, get over it. Chelsea and Villa both win. They both leapfrog City, and City are 6th before that game on Tuesday. Yeah. So you just never know. And then I don't know who they've got the final game away from home. Bournemouth, and then Fulham away from home. It's not an easy place to go. You'd expect them to go and get the win against a team with nothing to play for, but you just never know. Yeah. I certainly wouldn't, especially Villa have got Man United and Spurs. They've got one of them before the Europa final, one of them after. They could have asked for nicer.
I mean, this would be it would be an incredible. They've just about done it. It would be an incredible capitulation if that didn't play out. My whole point was Palace. This is their road into Europe to play in the Europa League next year, which would be an incredible achievement for Glasner and company. And by the way, last year in the FA Cup final, City lost both teams to score to an inferior side to this Palace one in Manchester United. Let's be honest about that. So let's see how it all plays out. Looking forward to it this weekend. I'll be certainly watching.
Just a final point. Let's just hope that this is because if Palace did win this game and lift the trophy, it'd be the third time in a row that the underdogs won in the final. So obviously you mentioned United, then you've got Newcastle beating Liverpool, and then Palace beating City. So let's just hope that if that continues to happen, all these mid-table teams that sometimes throw away these cup competitions actually start having a go and make cup competitions even more interesting.
Hear, hear. Well put.